let's talk a little bit about the market. When looking at Calgary's market, we do this update every 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and we highlight certain numbers all the time. Now, when we're looking at, let me just let someone else in the room here. Okay, when we're looking at total sales, you can see this number on the right-hand side, the top line there. Sales are down 21% compared to February of last year. Now, that's a massive drop. And again, we've been seeing this for the last couple of years because of the high interest rates and high inflation that we've got. But, investors don't let things like that drag them back. And you can see that in that the average price is up almost 6% down here in the right-hand side. So how come inventory is up 65%? So inventory is up, sales are falling, and yet prices are holding steady or rising.
Mhm.
Now, what do we attribute that to?
Well, it's confidence in the market for
Confidence in
sure.
the market and in migration. As Ed was just talking about,
Mhm.
we believe
Mhm.
that tons of Eastern Canadians are going to move here because of the high cost of living out there.
Yeah, and you know what? Tariffs is a big talk of the town right now. And what we feel here at Calgary Real Estate Wealth is that yes, jobs will be lost out east. And we feel, honestly, we've seen this twice before. We've been investing, Tim, for nearly 20 years in Calgary. We've seen it twice before. We feel we're going to go through a mini construction boom. Now, we're not talking out in the suburbs. We're talking inside downtown and around downtown. And what does that look like? It looks like stalled projects that have been sitting there. Tim, we got two across the street here that we keep talking about. Stalled projects finally getting off the ground. Why is that going to happen? It's going to happen because interest rates are going to continue to lower, right? And so the cost of borrowing for developers the incentive is going to be there. And they're finally going to see that if people do move here, Tim, we feel workers will come from out east, especially if they're losing jobs out there, and they will fuel that and we'll go through that construction boom again in Calgary, which is very exciting.
Yeah. So part two of our market update is now bear with me on these slides here. These are drawn from the Calgary Real Estate Board's statistics that they send out every month. And what I want us to zero in on here is the inventory comparison and the sales comparison from 2022 to 2025. And this is geared at a lot of investors who want to upgrade their portfolio or who just want to sell a property to cash out, or they need to cash up so that they can buy another one. What we're looking at here is the lag between the sales peak and the inventory peak. And if you can look at 2022, it's this orange line. You look down here at the inventory peaked, or sorry, the sales at the top, the sales peaked in March of 2022. Now the inventory after that peak kept going up. So the sales started to fall off, but people were still in the frenzy of, oh, look at those sales, they're up so high. And they kept putting their properties on, but they missed the boat because the inventory kept climbing until June. So there was a 3-month lag between the peak of the sales and the peak of the inventory. So if you were in that 3 months, odds are you weren't going to get the sale price that you wanted to. And then looking at the next year, 2023, the sales peaked in June and the inventory peaked in July. So there was only a month lag there, but the sales were a bit more flat in that period. And then 2024, that's the last one we're going to look at. Sales peaked in May, but inventory peaked in September. So if you're looking to sell, you want to get that property on early in the year before the sales peak and start to come down.
That's why you guys should be following this market update. Honestly, you have a 3-month window. We see this all the time. We'll list at prices they'll sell above list price. Last year we sold a property $100,000 over the list in, Tim, I think it was 12 hours. Like it just went, right? And you know what? At the end of the day, neighbors the following couple of months put their properties on thinking they'd get those prices, and they didn't. So you have a 3-month window to capitalize on that. And at the same time, they're the 3 months you should not be buying in. Okay. We say this all the time. Like we cut our clients off. Like when it goes into multiple offers, and we don't mind going over, Tim, on some properties if the numbers make sense. But as soon as it gets out of whack, we pull out of the deal.
Yeah. So what Azad's getting at there is when we do go into purchasing situation in these months leading up to that peak, we're very, very selective, not only on the property, but we're very selective on the price. Because like as I said, the numbers have to work. So we will only go to a certain price level, whereas the emotional buyer, they may go to a lot higher price level. And the numbers don't work for investors when you're at that
Well,
level.
just look at this graph. You could see that sales dipped right down after the peak, right? And why did they dip down? We know prices came back, Tim, and they retracted in some cases $60,000, $70,000. And the people that paid that high, they're stuck with it. I mean, the prices will come back to that, but you don't want to be buying at that point.
Yeah. So if you're a seller, look at listing very quickly. If you're a buyer, just be very, very discerning about what you go after. And we're very good at that. We're very good at choosing the property for the investor so that they don't overpay, so that they don't get into an emotional buy. We look at it, how the numbers work, because the numbers have to work for you to be a real estate investor long term.
Yeah, and just one last thing on this market report is that the good properties, Tim, they're selling. They're going into multiple offers. You bought a condo. We just released a video on our YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. It's on a 2-bedroom condo on 17th Ave up near the Newcastle pub. And we jumped in the first day and scooped it up. They were selling in there for $425,000 last year when we picked it up. I can't say, I shouldn't say, but our clients in BC, but we picked it up way less than that. And our clients are going to do well straight off the bat.
Yeah. And the thing is, it was one of the best units. It was a top floor unit in the building, one of the best units in the building. We picked it up for a very good price. And then the next day, there were other listings going on in that same building for around 425 again.
Yeah.
So these sellers are anticipating the market to keep going up. And the thing is, they're going to capture buyers because there's going to be that feeding frenzy. So we know how to position ourselves in the market to get that property before the majority of the public goes after it.
Yeah.